Hi, I'm Dawn and this is where Shabby meets Bling. Tonight is a first for me. I'm going to be trying something I've never tried before, have always wanted to, but haven't. So the outcome could be really amazing or it could be terrifyingly awful. But I'm going to share every darn step from beginning to end with all of you, and we'll see what happens. Wish me luck. I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need it.
This is Because We Felt Like It. I would like to thank my co-host Martina from the Secret Craft Room. You're going to find the links to her channel and this playlist loaded with a lot of felting fun in my description box below. To see how a real felter does this, check out Martina's channel and these videos. I will leave the link for these two in my description box. She has more, but this will get you started. So one night, I was getting ready for bed and laid down and turned on the TV, and I turned on YouTube. I love me some YouTube. And I found Julie of Julie's Felted Friends. She is not only informative, very informative, quick tips, things to do and not to do for beginners and for those that have been felting for a while, but she is highly entertaining. Her little friends are amazing and they are right up my alley because you know how I like me some little critters. She also has an Etsy shop where you can pick up PDF designs. I will leave the links to her channel and her Etsy shop in my description box as well. So here I am beginning my project, and with most projects that I'm going to create a sculpted figure with, I draw a little sketch ahead of time. And to me, this is going to be sculpting. It's going to be sculpting, but in a different medium. I'm using wool. I did not know exactly how I was going to like this. So first I had to figure out what I was going to create. And I just did a black cat last week that I absolutely love, Little Friday. So I thought, why not make a mouse? Why not make a mouse? I love my cats, and I thought if this thing does not turn out at all, it can be a toy for them, because they do actually make felted toys for dogs, and I thought, why not for my cat? So cats, I have 5 rescues. Call me the crazy cat lady, I don't care. So I draw my drawing, and then I'm going to check out on my very, very inexpensive felting tools. I did not purchase anything major. I did not want to put any expense into this because if I don't like it, I don't want to have to be out any money because I'm thrifty. We know I'm thrifty. So I picked up these items. This is a multi-needle tool. It holds 3 needles, so I guess you can stab 3 times faster. You can multitask like 3 times. But the little chunky one, it holds a 7 needles, so you can go crazy. You can just really get a lot done. Then I picked up these little finger protectors. So we'll see if I want to use them, if they come in handy. I just don't know. I don't know anything at this point. I also picked up that little black foam mat for stabbing the wool. And I picked up this wool, and you can see that I got it for 49 cents a piece. 49 cents. I mean, I said I was going to be thrifty while doing this to see if I like it or not, and I really was. I picked up all these items at Hobby Lobby, and I know a lot of the Hobby Lobbies were getting rid of the majority of their felting, so I hit them at the good time. This is the color I'm going to use for my little mouse. So 49 cents, we'll see how much of it I actually use. From what I understand at this point, this wool is the type of wool that's called roving, and it is prepared fiber, and it is carded and combed, and it is pretty much aligned all in the same direction. So you can see it's this nice long floofy wool, and I am taking it and I'm kind of creating a little ball. I cut off the part I don't want, and I wish I had pulled it apart so the ends weren't so in your face, but I'll make sure, I think, that they go away. So I create this nice little fluffy ball, and I get my little tool and I'm going to start stabbing it. I opted to begin with the bigger 7 needle multiple tool to get to get going faster with this, to make progress quicker. I had to unlock it. There's a little thing that you can lock it for safety's sake, for goodness sakes. That's a good thing. And I just am rotating this little ball as I give it some stabs here and there. Just stab in the wool to make it firmer. After my first go round, this is what I'm left with, and you can see it has firmed up quite a bit, but not firm enough, and I don't think big enough. So I'm going to take some more of my wool, and this time I'm gonna pull it off. Yeah, I'm just gonna pull it apart instead of cutting it, and I'm going to add it to the ball that I already started. Then I start stabbing the wool again, and that's pretty much this video. I'm sorry I keep laughing, but I find this very humorous because it's very methodical, and it's almost hypnotic. I'm not even kidding. I am so glad I tried this because there was like a sense of zen. It's gonna sound weird, but I'm enjoying this, and at this point I've only poked my finger one time, so I'm not sure if I'll use the little guards yet or not. I don't know. We'll see as I get going. As I really get going, we'll see if I want to use those. You can see after all that, the shape is really getting firmer. I am not going to make a separate head. The head and the body are all going to be one. So now that I've got a nice start on this, I need to start forming the one end to be a little bit smaller, almost cone-like, and the other end to be more round for his little booty. Right now it almost has an egg-like shape, but we're getting there. See how the front of that is starting to cone out to look like a little nose? Back to stabbing and forming, and I am still using that multi-needle tool. But soon, very soon, I'm going to change it up. I have added a little more wool in certain areas that I want thicker. Time for a tool change. I am going for that 3 needle holder, and I'm going to try out the little finger guards to see how that is going to work out. I bought them. I might as well give them a whirl. What I'm doing now is I'm targeting the area between his head and his body. I am making sure there's a differential between the two, and I am just slowly making the front part of his little nose smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm stabbing the wool very slowly now because I want to make sure that I target the areas properly. I don't want to make something smaller on his butt end, his booty end, than on his front end. So I'm just taking my time and I'm targeting that little neck area. I'm also, as I go round and round, I'm flattening the underneath side of her so she sits properly. Yes, it's a little girl, I've decided, and yes, she has a name. If she's a mouse, you're probably thinking I'm gonna call her Cheddar or something. No, her name is Brie. Her name is Brie, like a Brie cheese or Brienne. Her name's Brie. So I gave up on the little finger protectors because they just seemed to be clumsy and they were getting in my way. And I'd only poked my finger once, so I figure if I'm as careful as I have been, I should be fine, right? So I am continuing on, and look at that. Look at how it is really forming into the shape of a little mouse, a little Brie. At this point, it is getting extremely firm, getting to be to the point that I am satisfied with my progress. At this point, I'm just continuously stabbing the wool until I get it to the point that I'm totally satisfied before I start the next step, or should I say her next body part. And the next body part is going to be her tail. I'm going to attempt to make a skinny tiny little tail. We'll see how that goes. I wish I had timed myself to see how long this truly was taking in real time. Seems to be going fast. And not just looking at the fast speed video, like in real life, it seemed to be going extraordinarily quick. Like I said, I was in the zone. I was in Zen land, man. And it was very therapeutic. I'm enjoying this immensely. Here she is at my stopping point, and now I'm pulling off some more of that wool, and I'm going to, as I said, attempt to make a teeny tiny little tail. A teeny tiny tail. I tell you, I'm just cracking myself up because this is just like so different than anything I've ever done. Like when I sculpt with styrofoam, you take away slowly, where with this wool you can just keep adding. You start small and you keep adding and adding until you get it to be exactly as you want it. I started off with the big 7 needle multiple tool, and I am twisting the wool as I go. Then I pick up that 3 needle tool and I stab the end of the wool in place to make this a little easier. I look at it this way: at least 1 out of the 7 of those needles should be hitting my little tail, right? I mean, more than likely one of them's making contact. So I keep stabbing and twisting and working away from the end that is held in place. Once I get to a certain point, I pull it away from where the multiple needle tool was holding it. I add more wool and continue stabbing to make it a little thicker and a little more sturdy. I am still twisting as I go. I will continue until I get it to the point where I'm semi-satisfied. It's so tiny, and this is not easy, and we'll just see how it turns out in the end. But I'm just going to keep working it until I get it somewhat tail-like. Can't ask for more than that, I guess. I do stress, I am a beginner. I don't know how to make a tail yet, something that tiny. So we'll just keep working on it. Up there, you can see it is my little tail. Now for the ears. Little Brie needs some ears, so I'm pulling off what is going to be as close to the same amount of wool into 2 different little balls. She needs a right ear and a left ear. So there's one ball, and then I'm going to just kind of wad this piece up for the second. And then what do? We start stabbing. My goal here is to make a round disc. So completely round and flat. And the edges are what is a little tricky. And to do the edges, I was holding them in between my fingers and going around the perimeter very carefully with an individual needle. But at the ball stage, you still have to, as you're stabbing them, rotate them around. And you don't want to get them too round and firm, or you can't flatten them. That's what I was deciding as I was doing this. So there's one. And I think that looks pretty good because I wanted her to have nice big ears. I will still try to flatten it even more. I am just continuing to get these things as flat and as round as I can and as identical as I can. We want her little ears to be as close to the same as possible. I think that's as far as I want to go with the ears. So now I'm going to attach them, or I'm going to try to attach them. I wish I had left one little part of them where they would attach to her head, not felted so heavily, not so darn firm, so that I had something to attach it with. I'm going to have to use more of the loose wool to act as a binder. So I am using it in a way that it goes through the ear down into the body. I'm wrapping it around, and I'm using the big tool at this point to stab the wool through her ear into her head to make it hold. Then I just have to make sure I can make those little strands disappear. And I'm using the 3 needle tool to do that. And at some points I even have, like I said before, taken one of the needles out because I bought 2 of the 3 needle tools. They were only $2.99 each, so it shows you the quality of these things. But I take one of the needles out and I individually use it to poke some of the little strands down through into my little mouse. I get the one ear attached, then I move on and use the exact same method for the other ear. Now, the way I did this, at one point, I had what looked like hair on her. It looked so cute. I was like, oh, Brie needs some hair. She wants to look pretty. But I thought, first time out, I don't want to get carried away and have it look ridiculous. So I do go ahead and I stab all the extra wool down in through the body to make it as firm and flat again as possible. Then I add her little tail in the exact same way. I add some wool around it and I stab it all the way around the perimeter of the tail, making sure I go through the tail and into the body to hold it firm. Nash, my big time mouser, had to come check out my progress. He said, "Yeah, Ma, it looks like a mouse. I think I want it." He really, really liked it. Nash completed his inspection and evidently Brie has passed. Now I just need to take my individual needle and clean up and firm up and shape her whole little head, body, and tail because I'm going to need to put her legs onto her. Now I am driving the needle in straight and pulling it out in the same direction that it goes in. That was one of the little tips that I did learn. So very gently and methodically, I am cleaning up little Brie's face, body, and tail. I laid Brie's little ears on a flat piece of styrofoam and poked down and at an angle to get the fibers into the ear and in through the body easier and to flatten it even more. Just be careful not to go all the way through the ear or all you're doing is poking the wool fibers through the back of the ear or the front of the ear and then you have that to deal with. After all that stabbing, this is where we're at. This section is where I'm going to add a little leg, at least her back leg. I don't want her to look like a bodybuilder or a weightlifter. I want her to look like a little mouse should look. Petite and adorable. So I use some wool and I build up the little leg bit by bit. And I just use that individual needle to start poking it all the way through to get it positioned where I want it. It has to be in a certain area or it's not going to look like a leg. So I need to make sure that where I'm putting the wool and stabbing the wool is exactly where that leg should be. I continue to add wool and stabbing the wool in the same location that I applied the first bit of wool to build up the leg so it's the proportion that I feel it needs to be. I will do this multiple times by using more wool and the individual needle and the 7-needle tool. Once I've achieved the volume of the leg that I want, now I need to make it look like it's really a leg on a little mouse. I need to define the area where the leg is attached to her body. I'm using an individual needle to stab that area, just that little crease where her leg meets her body. I do this repeatedly to make that little leg stand out. Here's how Brie's looking. I do add a little more wool to that back leg and I give her a foot. I also give her a front leg. I repeat the exact same process on the opposite side, making sure that the legs are symmetrical. I make sure that they are mirror images of each other, that they are in the same location and the same size on either side of her body. Now Friday needs to make sure that everything is going as planned. Here you can see her little legs, and I think they're turning out pretty darn good. I still have to do some fine tweaking around her head, but right now I need to find where I'm going to place her eyes because she is getting eyes. So I make a couple of indentations where I think I'm going to place the wool, and then I get some black wool. And I make a tiny little itty bitty ball because I figure if I need to add more, I can. Easier to add, and I think almost impossible, at least for me, to take away if I add too much wool. If you've ever seen a mouse, their eyes are huge. So I want to make sure that they look appropriate in size to her body and her little face and her ears. Once I get that little piece of wool, I just start poking it in the same location and pulling it in from the side and poking it down into the middle, because I don't want this thing expanding all over her face. I want it to look almost like a little button for an eye. And Friday agrees. That's what I need to do. After I get her eye the way I like it, I do the same with the eye as I did the leg. I go all the way around the perimeter to make some definition by stabbing all the way around repeatedly, so there's a little indentation there. Then I go ahead and try to mirror that eye on the opposite side of her little head. When done, I will give her white highlights in her eyes and whiskers. No mouse, especially Brie, is complete without some cheese. Now, I had this color, and it's more of a cheddar color, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily a Swiss cheese color, but we're gonna make cheddar Swiss. It's a thing, right? So I am just taking this kind of a golden orange wool, and I'm going to create some cheese. I'm going to use the exact same things I learned while making Brie to make cheddar Swiss. I take the wool and I ball it up, and then I will commence with the stabbing of the wool. I rotate my cheese as I go so all sides are uniform. I'm trying to create a block of cheese, a little wedge, so I want somewhat of a 45-degree angle on my little edges. I use my 7 needle tool to do the majority of this until I get it really refined into the shape I want. Then I resort to an individual needle and the needle tool that holds 3 needles to make the little holes in my cheddar Swiss. You can't have cheese without crackers, so I jumped into Canva and I created a box. I used different fonts and different images layered upon each other. I made different squares, making sure that the front square and the back square were the same size, and the sides were the exact same in width and length, so that when I folded this over, it would fold into a legitimate box. These are all images available on Canva, and I just layered them all together. I think I used approximately 45 different images to create this little crispy crunch cracker box. Once I had completed my projects, I knew I'd be doing this again, so I jumped into Amazon and ordered some better needles. These are from Heidi Feathers, and they are the little sampler beginner kit. You get 6 different needles, which is pretty cool, and they are color coded so you know what size you're using. And as I get familiar, I know I'll be ordering more. I am not sponsored in any way by Heidi Feathers, but they seem to be the go-to needle for a lot of felters. I will leave the link in the description box on where I purchased these, so if you want to, you can give them a try as well.
I'm done. I am no longer a felting. I did it. Only poked myself twice. Only have 1 boo-boo. So not too bad, and I'm pretty pleased with the outcome of little Brie and her cheese. And I'm very excited to share her with all of you. I ask one thing. Keep in mind, I am a beginner. This is new to me, so please be kind in the comments. That's all Brie and I ask. She had no say in this. Let's take a look.
Here's little Brie, just perched on that crispy crunch cracker box, trying to get in. Oh, she wants some of these crackers so bad, but you know what she wants more? She wants some cheddar Swiss, but it's under that dome. How's she gonna get it? Mice are tricky, and Brie is no exception. She got into that cheese dome, and she's gonna have some cheddar Swiss. Here you get a really good look at her back leg, her front leg, her whiskers, and the little highlight in her eyes. I almost wish I'd given her a couple little teeth. Next time. Here's Brie's left side so that you can see she has her little forearm and her back leg here as well. And she has that little tiny highlight in this eye too. Brie is taking a little nap, so I took this opportunity to show you her little belly. You can see her little feet, all 4 feet, and how flat her tummy is. You can even see that I made kind of an indentation where her little mouth would be. This has been Because We Felt Like It. Thanks again to Martina for co-hosting with me. You're going to find the links to her channel and this playlist in my description box below. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and share it with your family and friends and anyone that likes trying new and different DIYs, wool crafting, needle felting, and downright fun decor. You can follow me on Instagram and don't forget to check out my shop on Etsy. Leave me a comment because I love hearing from you. Ring that bell for notifications of all of my upcoming videos. Subscribe, you know you want to, and it's a great way to support my channel. But for now, this is Dawn and Brie with Shabby Meets Bling. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.